Am I turning red yet? Hey guys, Melinda here. Welcome back to my movie and TV reviews. We are continuing on this week with one of the newest Disney Pixar films, Turning Red. So I had known for the longest time that I was eventually going to watch this film. I really didn't have any intention on doing it for this week's movie review, but you know what? I heard many things about this film, heard that there was a lot of controversy involved with it, so I thought, why not give it a shot and see what all the hubbub is about. So before I get into it, for those of you who haven't seen any of my other movie or TV reviews, I like to review it in a way that gives no spoilers, so that way anybody can click onto this video, get an idea if they want to go watch it, and just hear my overall general thoughts, ideas, concerns, issues, etc. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in and talk about Turning Red. Okay, so just Googling Turning Red just to get the general idea before we go into details. Turning Red was released this year in 2022, so it is still fairly new, probably one of the, if not the newest Pixar film released from Disney. Has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 83% on Metacritic, and 7 out of 10 on IMDb. So overall, ratings are superb and amazing, and I would say probably on par. Very accurate to probably what I would give this film. So just to give you an idea of what Turning Red is about, is that we are following this main character, this 13-year-old girl, May. I don't remember her full name, but that is her nickname. Basically, we are introduced to the idea, first of all, that she, of course, is a normal 13-year-old girl, so she's trying to balance home life with friends, responsibilities, etc., all of that fun stuff that comes with being a kid. And then, of course, Disney has to add some Disney magic to it to make it a cute coming-of-age kind of story, and her family has this tradition where at some point of each generation, there is a phase when they release the red panda, which is kind of like, I guess, a spiritual animal, you would say, that actually gets manifested into real life, and it's triggered by emotion, so overexcitement, sadness, anger, you name it, basically the red panda comes out. So that's what the whole movie is about, is just May trying to juggle being a normal kid with family and friends, and then now tackle this weird genetic spiritual transformation that happens every time she gets over emotional. So very cute. It was very fun. I would say it's definitely a very good story to watch with your kids because it is a coming of age story and it is very relatable in that sense. That rolls right into kind of where the biggest controversy that I heard of in regards to the film. And I absolutely agree. And that's this film very much steps outside of the Disney forbidden box. I would say that there is this unheard of, unseen Disney forbidden box that has to be very, very censored. It has to be the lowest PG setting you could ever think of for anything. I guess I shouldn't say anything. Most Disney related content. That includes Disney Channel shows, Disney Pixar films, and that's why I wanted to say Disney films in general, but then I think of some other Disney films like Pirates of the Caribbean that really isn't that hardcore PG censored content that everybody knows that Disney tends to be. So really that's the biggest thing, is that this film, I think, biting my tongue because I haven't seen any of the other newer Disney films like Encanto and Luca. To me, at least, with all of my other previous Disney knowledge that I have, this film is one of the first to step outside of that box. Hence why, cue the controversy, because all the parents in the world are saying that this is not appropriate for kids. And the thing is that it is though, because it covers topics that are relevant, exist in a growing girl, and needs to be discussed. And okay, I'm just gonna stop tipping my toes and beating around the bush. One of the biggest controversies that I heard about this is the fact that they talk about May on her period and having her period. Having a period is a very natural coming of age woman thing to exist. Every girl goes through it at some point or another. The thing is that it is a very natural occurrence. This is the first Disney something or another to actually acknowledge a woman's period. That's like one of the biggest controversies that I heard spewing all over the internet, and that should not have been included in the film and be as relevant and a part of it, but it is. And I think there's nothing wrong with it because, again, it's relatable and a learning experience for any growing of age woman watching this film. So I personally had no issue with it. I actually love the fact that Disney covered this topic, and anybody that has a problem with it, isn't offended by it, go watch something else because you are dumb. Kind of went off on a tangent there, but I mean, that really is one of the biggest things that I wanted to discuss about this film, is that it's things like that that do exist in this film. I'm almost shocked that it took until 2022 for it to be a relevant topic in a Disney thing, in a Disney film, TV show, whatever it is. We have come so far in this world. Why? Why do people have an issue with it? Because it's a thing. If anything, Disney does a great job at adding humor to the situation and making it funny and relatable in that way. And of course, it makes it very uncomfortable and cringy because any girl will have flashbacks to the first time that they've had their period. But again, it's just blah. It's mind-boggling to me that people are upset about this tiny little matter in this film and boycotting it essentially because it's not appropriate and that Disney should not talk about that subject. Come on, get with the program. Get into today's society. There is nothing wrong with a period, especially in a young girl's life when she's just starting to experience it, and that's all. I will go off on another tangent if I don't stop it right there. Just so you know, that is one of the biggest controversies that I heard about this film. Not gonna lie, that was a huge motivation to go watch it and to talk about it because I wanted to know what the big deal was. And the truth is, it's not a big deal. The people out there that are offended by it and think that it should not have existed in this film, I don't know what to tell you, man. Go sit in the corner. Okay, enough rambling. Let's consult the handy dandy notebook and go over some details that I talked about for this film. If you do have a Disney Plus subscription, it is streaming on there right now, so you can go check it out there. This movie is actually a lot shorter than I thought it was. The runtime when you click onto it is almost an hour and 50 minutes, which I thought was normal and was fine. And then the film blew by like that, and I thought to myself, wow, that was a really short film, and went to go turn it off only to see that there was 20 minutes of credits at the end of the film. That's why it felt so short, because I was expecting almost a 2-hour long movie when about 25 minutes of the ending was just for credits. The movie itself is about an hour and a half long. It's really, really easy to sit and watch. Time flows so smoothly within the story. There's no boring parts, there's no slow parts. It all just ties in together and you just are immersed and engaged with this film the entire time. So going into this film, I really had no prior knowledge of what it was about, what it entailed. All I knew was that the little girl turned into a red panda. Really didn't know anything other than that. I knew that one of the big controversies I heard was having a period included within the movie, so my mind just put 2 and 2 together and thought that when she got her period is when she turned into a panda, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I was very wrong and at least pleasantly surprised by the story. It was very sweet, it was very lighthearted, and a really good Disney film. The other thing that I was kind of shocked at, because you know how I talked about Disney is in this forbidden bubble, this forbidden box of topics and things that should not be addressed or in existence of anything Disney related? They used the word crap, which growing up as a kid, I was told was a bad word. Now, as an adult, I know that there are far more worse words than that, but I do know that you don't want to necessarily teach your kids at a young age the word crap. I would necessarily say it's not a bad word, but it shouldn't be used by kids. Anyway, that word was used a lot in this film. Again, there are far worse words to be used, but I feel that in the Disney universe, crap is like the worst word to say. So I was kind of taken aback and shocked when the main character kept saying crap. I was baffled and I was mind blown, but I was all for it. I was loving it. This is the kind of Disney that we need to go in that direction. I can see where people are coming from when they get offended and controversy was created, but I am all for it. I'm loving it. This is exactly where Disney needs to go, because this film as a whole is what society is transforming into, and a good representation of what the world is like, what society is like. Why are we trying to shelter our kids when stuff like this exists in the world? So again, it's a good coming of age learning story that I think every kid needs to watch. Also, within that forbidden Disney bubble, they gave one of the characters a nose piercing. So first of all, that was like a big frowned upon thing as a young teenager, is that you don't want any kids to have piercings. Any kind of form of body or facial piercing was like very condoned and very taboo as a kid. So again, I was ecstatic that they had a character that had a nose piercing, but that I know is very taboo in the Disney world, because I learned if you want to work at Disneyland, let alone a Disney film or anything like that, if you want to work at Disneyland or even just the Disney store, you can't have any tattoos, you can't have any piercings, you can't have any body modifications. You have to be this clean cut, perfect person, and they would not take you if you have any sort of altercations to your body. So with the way that Disney views people that way, I was kind of shocked to see they put one of the characters with the nose piercing. Again, I am all for it. I am loving it. Can see why this could also be part of the controversy topics, but I am all for it, and I really think that Disney needs to start going in that direction. Moving on to some of the other details that I wrote about. I said that I really liked the character of Mei Mei because she is such a good role model for kids. She's so responsible. She knows her place, knows her responsibilities. Yes, she is struggling with how to balance them, along with having a social life with her friends and trying to be this perfect person for her parents. It just makes it very relatable, and she's just such a fun, energetic, loving character that really does not have a care in the world. Again, just I think is a good role model for kids. So I really liked what they did with her character, and her arc, her story, and her development were just all amazing throughout this film. Overall, I loved the visualizations in this film. Through the visualizations that we have throughout this film, the story gets to be told in a very unique way, very different way, but it makes it very entertaining and phenomenal and just amazing to watch. So I think they did an excellent job with this film, and wouldn't be surprised if we see next year come award season that this film gets nominated for some of those awards. So Mei Mei is Asian. This family is Asian, and that is the primary culture that this film focuses on. First of all, so glad that Disney is finally branching out, not whitewashing everything. I know that's been talked about for many, many years. We're focusing in on an Asian family, and I do have to say that it probably does play into some of the stereotypes of what we know about Asians and Asian culture. I do have to say though, growing up, my best friend was Asian. So he was in a very Asian cultural household, and some of the things that he would tell me happened in this film. So I can see how it can be stereotypical and some people might get offended, but it's pretty accurate though, and again, relatable, because as I'm watching this happen with Mei Mei and her family, all I kept thinking about was my high school best friend. Again, I thought it was relatable and accurate, but also I can see it could be stereotypical a little bit. Kind of going back to the period conversation, but also just in general, this film does a great job at capturing what it's like to be an awkward 13-year-old. I felt physically uncomfortable for some of the situations that Mei Mei was put in, again, because it's relatable. I've been there, I'm sure other people have been there, have been in her shoes, so that's why I just felt so uncomfortable and so cringy by watching what's happening to her, and I just like, I felt for her. Great job on the film's part by being able to pull at my heartstrings and get that physical and emotional feeling out of me. Now, really not relevant and not important to the film, but I just have to ask, why when she's the red panda is she so big. Red pandas are small. They're tiny little creatures. It's animated, it's Disney. It can be overdramatic. It can be sized up from what we know an actual red panda is like. The story isn't even real. It's not possible. So I'm criticizing why she's so big as the red panda. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just bothered me a little bit. I don't know why. I know it's fiction. I know it's not real. I know it's a fictitious story because nobody turns into a red panda when they get emotional. But the fact that she was ginormous is what ticks me. I don't know. I don't know. The overall film, there were some pretty funny moments that really had me laughing out loud. So that's why I feel like this film, again, because it's stepping outside of the forbidden Disney box / bubble, I feel that it's a little bit more grown-up humor. I really enjoyed watching it. Usually when I watch kind of Disney films or Disney Pixar films, I'm entertained, but I know the sole purpose is for kids. So it's a little childish, a little immature in that way. But this film really felt more mature than those other ones. It felt more grown up. I really applaud the film for stepping outside of the boundaries and capturing that, because now not only can it be entertaining for kids, a life lesson for coming of aged kids or even adults watching it. There is something in there for everybody to really sit down and enjoy this film. Just because I was curious, I did a little bit of research while I was watching this film, because my first initial thought was, of all the animals for this family to turn into over the generations, why a red panda? I actually looked it up, and the symbol of a red panda means gentleness, compromise, and patience, which honestly are like the perfect words to describe this film and this story. I will give it's a little odd to pick a red panda to be the character, but now knowing what that symbol means, it ties in perfectly with this film, and I think the red panda was a smart choice. Overall, it makes sense. I just feel like it is still a little silly. Going back to pulling at my heartstrings, being sympathetic, and really making me feel for the characters, this film actually made me cry. When I watched like these little kid Disney films, I really don't cry because there's no need to. I will be the first to admit though that I do cry at everything, but this film did make me cry. Normally, Disney films don't. Anyway, this made me cry. Very, very pulled at my heartstrings and had me sympathize for these characters enough to get a physical reaction out of me. I had a lot of other issues with this film for no reason. I know deep in my heart it's fictitious. It's not real. The film can do whatever it wants with it, but I was nitpicking so many things about this film. Mei Mei does turn into the red panda at school, and immediately it's normalized. Everybody is totally okay with it. Nobody questions it. Nobody runs screaming, doesn't find it weird in any way. They just love it and tell Mei Mei to embrace it and just let the red panda out, and everybody loves her as the red panda. Why is it normalized? That does not make sense to me. If I saw somebody in front of my eyes turn into a giant red panda 3 times my size, I would scream. I would run away. I would do anything except probably hug it and say how adorable she is. I know it's not real. I know it's a story. I know it's a Disney film of all things, but my brain just cannot wrap around this story doesn't make sense to me. That's really the root of the issue that I have with this film, is that I just am constantly like, it doesn't make sense. This is not how normal people would react. But again, this isn't real. It's a made-up story. I'm spiraling. I need to calm down. Moving on, before I start spiraling again, it had been bugging me the longest time watching this why this kind of style of animation seemed very familiar to me. It very closely resembles the stylization of Wallace and Gromit. Just the way that the characters smile, the way that their teeth looks, I don't know, it just really reminds me of Wallace. I thought I'd just point that out. I actually know a couple people that are uncomfortable watching that style of animation, so if you are one of those people, I would say that Turning Red probably is not the film for you, because the stylizations of these animations do seem very similar, that I wouldn't want anybody out there to feel uncomfortable while trying to watch this film. So did want to give you that little preface. Going back to little details that just kind of bugged me and popped up into my head while watching this, I just kept thinking, you know, this curse, this generation genetic thing that's being passed down, I just keep thinking how of an awkward hard conversation this must be for the husbands, because obviously they have to get together to procreate the next generation. I don't know, how do you explain that to the husbands? I just don't know why people are just okay with this and this is normal, but it's not. The idea of thinking all of these men that have procreated to keep these generations going, knowing that their child is gonna have this red panda curse, genetic thing, trait, whatever you call it. I don't know, I wanna know more about that. Okay. This next part, probably my biggest issue, and it is a personal problem. If you don't know this about me, being a writer and having that within me, within my genes, I am very big on the how and the why, because that is what I was taught throughout my writing classes, my film degree, all of that. I was taught we need to know the why and the how. My biggest issue that I had is the story of the red panda. I don't understand the rules that come with it. What causes it? Watching this film, I learned that the panda could come on at any time. It happened to Maymay when she was 13. It didn't happen to her mom until she was at least an adult. So that brings me back to the overall question of what causes the start of the red panda. For Maymay, she kind of has an emotional breakdown, and that's what kind of causes it. I'm just confused, and I want to know how and why exactly the panda comes about. I do say though, without giving spoilers, just all of the characters have some kind of learning experience, not just Maymay, but everybody else has an experience that they go through throughout this film. So I'm very happy that we ended on that good note, that everybody had that opportunity to learn something. That's pretty much it, because then everything else is spoiler related, and I don't want to do that to you guys. Really, the last thing that I said was I didn't know that the music in this film was done by Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas. That is really cool. I've been a supporter of her for years, and I love her story. I love her background. So it's very exciting to me that she had this opportunity along with everything else she's getting right now. So I just want to say congrats to Billie Eilish and Phineas for having this opportunity to create music for a Disney film. And there is a fun little post-credit scene at the end. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Other than that, that is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. If you guys have seen this film, you want to go further into discussion, and you want to talk about the film, please leave it down in the comments down below. I would love to open that dialogue and have that conversation with you guys, and actually have the opportunity to talk about some of the other things that are spoiler related. If you guys want to talk about the film at all, again, leave it down in the comments down below. I will gladly respond and we can have that conversation. Overall, you basically got the gist of it. One of the first, if not the first, Disney film to step outside of that forbidden box / bubble that Disney has created, and moving in an upward mobility to making more realistic and relatable films for kids these days. I'm looking forward to their future content, seeing if they continue down this road. I'm hoping that the backlash that they did get from it doesn't get to them, doesn't get to the writers, and they think that they need to back off, because I love what they did with it. I love the story, I love the characters. It was really, truly an amazing film, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I do 1000% recommend that everybody go watch this. A little bit more grown-up humor, so very, very fun and entertaining for adults, while still being entertaining for kids, and a very good, relatable life lesson for younger kids. Go check it out. Very fun, good family-friendly film to watch with everybody. So I'll quit rambling. That's pretty much everything. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you all for the support. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a big thumbs up. It would absolutely mean the world to me. And make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already and you want to see more content. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Live life, always laugh, and enjoy the journey. Bye. Da, 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 da. I have hair on my microphone. Silly cat.